Hi, my name is Angel, and today I'm going to show you how to create a custom login flow using email OTP and Magic's SDK. So let's jump right in. On the right side here of the screen, you can see I am on our Magic dashboard, and I created a new app called Custom Email OTP Flow. On the right side in our quick start, you can see we have a command here, an npx make magic command that's going to create our demo and pretty much do everything we need, but because it's set up for the default flow, we'd have to make some adjustments here. I'm going to copy all of this. Copying all of this will allow me to create a magic app using Next.js, and it already has my API key here and the login flow that I'd like to use, which is email TP. So I don't really need to add anything else. I'm going to just go ahead in this directory on the left. I'm in my VS Code. Now this project will build. First I would give it a name. Let me just call it email OTP, custom email OTP. Press enter, it'll build the project, and we'll just let it go from here and return when it's done. Now that the command is complete and the app has been built, we can visit it right away. Here's the app, and of course I have the console open on the right side so we can get some more insight. But here's our app. It has a certain style to it. Now let's see the flow originally before we make any changes. Just going to use this test email of mine. Let me grab my phone here. So I'm receiving my email TP. Okay. Let me open up the network logs as well and pull this down a bit. Alright, cool. Put my head up here. Okay. So we can see that I'm logged in. I have a wallet address. I can send transactions. I can update email. I can get the ID token, check out the wallet information. So there you go, that's my wallet's public address. And then I can go ahead and disconnect. So we have a basic functioning app here. And what I want to do now is disconnect, and we will see how this works. Alright, I'm ready to go. I have the project loaded up here on the left side in VS Code, and we're just going to take a little bit more of the space back. And the first thing I'm going to right away jump into is the email OTP component here. Now, let's give ourselves some more space. First of all, let's look at how we're handling the login. Currently, there is an email validation step. We don't need to mess around with this part. What we want to look at is the call to log in with email OTP. Now, as you can see in the reference, we just need to pass, where are we? According to the reference, we just need to pass a show UI of false. So I'm going to put this right here beside email will be show UI, and instead of true, which is the default, we'll set it to false. Now if we call the login, we're not going to see anything. So let's give this a shot. I'll get rid of this for now. And when I call Angel, I can do Angel Magic Dolly. That's fine, right? So you won't see anything. Okay. Yet we have sent a network request. So what I'm going to do is refresh this page, and now we will see the change that was made, essentially. Okay, so this is what you would expect when looking at the Magic UI, but we want to use our own UI, so let's do that. Again, I'm just going to refresh the page, make sure that we are good to go on the next steps. First thing, I will no longer await, and I'm actually going to change token. Let's see, what should we do? Well, we should change this to OTP login, and maybe up here we should set, we need a use state. So use state, sorry. Here I have entered a line on 17 for OTP login, set OTP login, and this would be a promise event. So let me just import the promise event. And so we have this OTP login and state, and this is how we will handle events. In order to successfully complete the flow for your users, you will need to handle the associated events for login with email OTP. As you can see here in this doc, the events are pretty straightforward. You will also see a list down here. Email OTP sent is when you have called the login method and the OTP has been successfully sent to the user email address. Now you can prompt the user for the OTP. When the user has supplied the OTP to you, you can emit verify email OTP to check the validity of this OTP. If it is an invalid OTP, you will listen for this event, and if so, you can always prompt the user to try again. I am going to implement a basic retry limit of 3, and you might set a similar limit. Lastly, we have our cancel. You can emit cancel to cancel the login flow. You might use this when a user has entered their email address and now they are looking at your input for the OTP, maybe your own OTP modal, but they realized that they had entered the wrong email address. So they'd like to cancel the login flow and put a different email address in. This is when emitting the cancel event will come in handy. The next set of events, device verification, we can go into this in another video, but in the future you may want to implement device verification checks in which an unrecognized device must be verified to use to log in for your user. Going back to our login with email OTP events, we see that we're listening for the email OTP, make sure that it was sent, and in this basic JavaScript example, we are prompting the user through the window alert, and once we receive the OTP from the user, we are verifying the OTP with Magic. If we receive an invalid email OTP, we may go through some retries, or we may emit the cancel event if the user has reached a certain limit. You saw on the left side that OTP login is a promise event. Magic uses promise events, or prom event. It is a combination of a promise and an event, so you can use a .then catch, finally. You could listen also for done, error, settled. You have this flexibility. You're going to see me use done, error, settled, so that I can listen for the successful result or any errors. And when the whole flow is wrapped, do something. Now that we have our email OTP promise, we should set up the event handlers. First, I am actually going to set email, and we can see that the Copilot is already helping me here. We're setting OTP login to OTP login. Okay. And we want this because we're going to pass this into another modal that I'm going to create. It's just a separate component, but you don't have to. Right now I'm going to add this type, and we settled that issue here for the type error, and we can move on. On line 30, I'm going to paste the event handling, and I'll step through this. So first off, we're just going to make sure that we have OTP login here, and then we'll go ahead with the listening. So because I pasted this, I haven't yet imported some of these. So let's just, we're gonna ignore this one here, OTP modal, we'll get to this. Okay, and we don't really need any of these console logs anymore, though they are fun. Well, I may keep this one. We'll just ignore all these little squigglies, but let's keep all of them. All right, first step. The first step in this login process is calling login with email OTP, and then setting up listeners. On the first listener, we're listening for the email OTP sent. That's this one here. Email OTP sent. I'm just using the enum that is exported from the Magic SDK. When we hear this event, we know that the email has been successfully sent to the user, and the user now has an OTP code to enter into our app. So at this moment is when I would show the OTP modal. When the flow is done, we are going to now get the user info. And with that user info, I'm going to save it to state. The result that is returned is the DID token. It's a string value of the DID token that is returned on any successful login. Next up is our catch. So as you can see, I'm still using a catch here for the error. And I'm just logging the error. When it's all done, I'm getting rid of the promise here, just clearing it. And I would then also clear the OTP modal. We have handle login completed, but we need to handle a cancel as well. I'm including a function here to handle the cancel event. And again, I just need to import this. Now, when we call handle cancel, we're emitting cancel. So we're doing this here, but I'm using an enum to signify this string of cancel. So now let's see what we have done. I'm going to just check the code here, make sure everything is as I expected. And our app is currently running, so why don't we just go ahead and log in. So I'm going to log in with Intro plus test. Alright, so that shouldn't show up, and that is showing up because I have true here. but I need to say false. Do not show Magic's UI. As a matter of fact, I want to show my own UI. So let me just refresh here just in case, although maybe that wasn't needed. I am now going to log in, and I expect to not see the OTP. If I inspect the page, I see the OTP login email sent was printed or logged to the console, and that is here. OTP login email sent, and you can see the color orange just down here. Okay, so we know it was sent, and we can probably open this one up too. Okay, so we know it's sent, and we want to see our UI show up now and not see our user stuck. I'm going to create a new component in auth. Let's see, OTP modal. Here's a quick paste of a component I have already built only moments ago. You can see here that the OTP modal is expecting the login promise and the handle cancel. And because we're expecting to have the user input a 6-digit code, I'm going to have an input field for the passcode, a certain amount of retries, which I set to 3, and a message to handle error messaging. And just a disabled here for disabling the submit button. And if you look down here, you can see our handle submit, which is going to be submitting the OTP for verification. Okay, and on the bottom here, lastly, the button for canceling. When clicking this button, we will handle cancel. Okay. Well, we do have a OTP modal now. We need to make use of this OTP modal. So I'm going to just scroll down here, and as you can see, we have our form for the email, but we want to determine whether we should show the OTP modal or not over this form. Right now I'm going to grab this div that contains the form input, and I'm going to replace it with show OTP modal. Now, you don't see show OTP modal. The reason why we have an error here is because we don't have show OTP modal, and for this one we haven't imported. So let's just do a little quick import there. Cool. And then for show OTP modal, we will create this up here. Another piece of state that's just going to let us know if we should or should not show the OTP. Now, on the bottom, I'm going to do one last thing. Actually, I'm going to have to reverse some of this as I am missing, let's see. Okay, let's go back here. I've added a show OTP modal use state, and with this I can control display of the OTP modal after sending the user their login email. Right now you see our return is relatively small. It's going to expand a bit but look very similar. All that I'm adding are two conditionals. So as you can see, it hardly changed, except now we're looking at show OTP modal, and if we have it, we are going to show the OTP modal. At the same time, if we do have it, then we will not show this purple submit button for initiating the login. We have an error here just because we need to import the modal, and then this one I believe is a type error, so it should work with this type error, and we can look into fixing that one as well. Now that our modal is in, yeah, look, maybe we have a difference here. Null, undefined, where was that? Here. Alright, well, we should be fine right now. Now that we have our OTP modal component ready, we should see it come up. Man, it may not look great, but it will come up. So let's give it a shot. The only reason why it wouldn't look great is because it's my UI now, and I did not style it yet. Okay, so something wrong here. Let's fix what happened. We have our OTP login. So we forgot about this. Let's uncomment these and go through this again. Just gonna copy for ease. Okay. I expect okay, here goes my OTP login. This is my UI, and it looks very plain. But we can fix that right now. What I'm going to do is just throw in some extra styles to this global CSS doc right at the bottom. And I am going to add some color. I'm not even going to use all of this color, but I'm setting it anyway. With that, you can already see some changes. And that's because of the names of the classes on these elements. So now you can see my UI, and I make sure it stands out from the template so that you can see the styling here, okay? It may not look great, but it's something. Now we are ready to receive this OTP. Now I have it on my phone here, so I'm just gonna pull it up. And before I enter the correct OTP, I want to enter the incorrect OTP. So let's just say it's 6 zeros. We can keep an eye out over here as well. And you can see that verify failed. I sent all these zeros, but it was wrong. It was incorrect verification code. So I received this as well in my application right over here. So let's step through this before we enter the correct OTP. So here you can see that we set retries, and if there are more retries, we just tell the user there's an incorrect OTP code, and we do some logic to determine how many tries they have left. So as you can see, 2 tries left. Now, if the user exhausts their retry limit, I'm just going to go ahead and cancel the flow. As you can see here, user enters invalid OTP, we check retries. If there are no more retries, we will cancel the flow. Now, in the way I have this set up, you may not actually even see this message, so it probably should be shown and then canceled, but the way I have it, I'm just going to cancel right away. Maybe handle it a little bit differently depending on your UX. So let's get this wrong again. I could do less numbers. It doesn't have to be 6 digits to be incorrect. So incorrect, and then let's random incorrect again. And so it was canceled. We caught the error, do it in the toast, logged it as well. As you can see, my CSS accidentally altered this button as well, but that's fine. So I'm just going to try again, and this time I'm going to log in. Alright, so let's just do wrong number one more time. just shows that it works. And now I want to enter the correct OTP, which I have in my hand. Alright, so 378249 is the number, and we'll submit. And we can see that verify call was good. And not only that, but in this orange text, you can see our DID token. You can see that I'm logged in. You see my wallet address, me being the user, of course. I can send some transactions. I can get some information about my wallet. As you can see again here is the wallet public address. And so now you would have successfully used your own UI, which is great. So congratulations. You could always make it more efficient, maybe more tailored to your application and your specific needs. So that's everything. You've learned how to set up custom email OTP logins using Magic and your own UI as opposed to using Magic's UI.